Hey, today I'm going to talk to you about the most important self-defense principle. This is the number one principle of self-defense. And I have been studying self-defense in the martial arts for literally decades. And, this is by far the most important principle. This is what I have taught my kids as absolutely the number one. This is more important than, studying a martial art, for example, for decades, whether it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or whatever. Okay, this is more important than firearms training. This is more important than going through self-defense programs. This is the low-hanging fruit. Okay, this is absolutely crucial. And a lot of people don't think of it. They just want to I gotta get into these martial arts classes. I've got to get a firearm. I've got to get training. And I'm not discounting those, because those are excellent, but they do not supersede this one principle. Okay, and this one principle is very simple, but extremely effective. Okay, this is going to remove 98% of the possibility of you even having to implement self-defense with a firearm or unarmed. Okay, and that is to avoid dangerous people and places. Avoid dangerous people and places. And that sounds simple, but it's absolutely true. And there's a couple of underlying premises with that. And the first one is this, is that first of all, I'm not talking about living in fear. Okay, this isn't about being fearful of people or places. This is about understanding that there is a much higher probability that if you're around certain people or in certain places at certain times, there's a much higher chance or higher probability of something happening. Okay, I mean, the reality is if you go to a nightclub, right, a really, really hopping nightclub where people are drunk or on drugs at 2 a.m, there is a higher probability of something bad happening there. Okay, additionally, if you're right now at the time of this video, there are cities literally burning. Okay, this is the riots that are occurring based on what happened with George Floyd, etc. And I'm not here to discuss that. I can actually understand some of the rage that's going on with this. I'm not justifying a lot of the actions that are occurring, but I can understand it. But here's a lesson. If you have that principle in mind, avoiding dangerous people and places, would you be in the inner cities right now? No. Would you be in hot spots like Minneapolis or Los Angeles or Houston in the inner cities? Absolutely not. That would be foolishness. Okay, because there is a significantly heightened probability of bad things happening there. Okay, so avoid dangerous people and places. Okay, so number one, we're not living in fear, but we're, number two, situationally aware. Okay, we need to build and learn and develop situational awareness, and it is a skill. It is not inherent. It is not automatic for most people to be situationally aware. Most people are tied to their phones and are not situationally aware. Like if you watch people, they have no idea what's going on around them. They're engrossed in their phone, even when they're walking. In a lot of cases, I've sat there with my kids, and we've kind of just watched people, and I say, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being they are very situationally aware, and 5 meaning they have no idea what's going on around them. Look at those people and understand where do they fall on that scale. And if they're engrossed in their phone, and they'll probably get run over if they weren't, if other people weren't aware of them. They're a 5, and if they're, they got their head up, the phone is not in their hand, they're looking around, right? They're aware of their surroundings. That is probably someone who's a 1, and someone who is situationally aware, someone who has their head up looking around, they look confident, are going to be much less likely to be targeted. Okay, so that's part of this, is being situationally aware, and then understanding your surroundings and being confident, and then you're much less likely to be a target. Okay, so avoiding dangerous people and places means developing situational awareness. And I want to go back to the whole fear thing real quick, because there is actually a book. It's called The Gift of Fear, and it's an excellent book, and I recommend it. I'll put a link to it. I've had my family read it. Okay, and again, I'm not talking about paralyzing fear where we live in paranoia. The gist of the book is this, is that we should trust our instincts. Okay, there are times when the hair on the back of our neck stands up and we're uncomfortable in a certain situation. What this book is saying is listen to those instincts. Understand that that hair on the back of your neck standing up is for a reason, and even if it's not, you should still listen to it. Okay, you're erring on the side of caution and situational awareness. So there's been many studies, in that book lays out a lot of this. For example, if women who have been raped, which is horrendous, but women who have been raped, they've been talked to afterwards, and they said, was there any indication that this was going to occur? And in the vast majority of cases, there was an indication. That the person felt very uncomfortable, and in a lot of cases, when asked, well, why didn't you? Not to say that this is none of this is your fault, but why didn't you react to that uncomfortableness? And the answer given over and over and over again was like, well, I didn't want to offend them. I didn't want to make them uncomfortable. I didn't want to make it look like I was, thought that this person, looked a certain way, and therefore, I moved away, or I exited the elevator, or I turned around and left the parking garage, or I crossed the street, etc., etc. Okay, the whole point of the book was listen to those instincts. You're uncomfortable, act, do something, turn around, cross the street, leave, get yourself out of that situation. Okay, so again, the number one self-defense principle that supersedes and is the foundation for all other self-defense principles is avoid dangerous people and places. This is so crucial. All right, that's how I'm going to leave it today.